before the end.
I kind of think we can just sit here. Just watch the show. This is amazing. Palpatine is sexy.
You brought sexy back, Palpatine.
Wow. Thank you.
I just want to say, good afternoon. All of you.
I'm sorry, I seem to have a frog in my throat.
And sometimes we get to some water. Thank you, sir, for being here. This is such an honor to have you here at Celebration.
Well, it's a great pleasure to be here.
Yeah, and you arrived today or yesterday?
Yesterday evening.
Wow. And I understand you went down and did some signing and such?
Yes, I saw lots of you, I think.
Yeah.
And I was happy to sign some things and get some pictures with you.
Wow. Is it everything you imagined? Is there like a secret fanboy in you about all of this stuff to kind of see it all?
Well, this is the first celebration that I've attended. I've usually been working in a theatre, so I didn't have the opportunity. So it's a big, new, exciting experience for me. And I'm a little jet-lagged, but the response you gave me this evening has restored me to a kind of sanity. So it's great.
Star Wars have that effect on us. They are very, very good to us. And so now, if I said two words to you, I've heard you talk about this before. If I said "great nose,"
yeah,
would that mean anything to you?
Yes, that takes me back to the very first time I met George Lucas. I was in a play at the Royal Court Theatre in London, which is a very small theatre, and I was playing an American, a very well-known American, or rather a version of him, Howard Hughes. In Sam Shepard's play Seduced, it was called Henry Hackamore in that. And I was very old in that. I had the long hair and the fingernails, and I was surrounded by two charming handmaidens and a guy who connected me to my life support systems. And the casting director of Star Wars, Mary Selway, who was a remarkable woman, sadly no longer with us, saw that show. And I got a call, my agent got a call, one lunchtime, saying George Lucas would like to meet Ian. That was all. And a car will arrive shortly. Well, I was looking outside the window and the car had already arrived. Welcome to the Star Wars universe. Yeah, so I got in. And when I went down to the studios, it was lunchtime, and George and Richard Marquand, the director, as you all know, Return of the Jedi, were having their lunch, and they just started shooting. So I thought, well, they must have cast everything by now. This is very strange. Anyway, we didn't talk about the picture. We didn't talk about movies. I can't remember what we talked about. Lunch, probably. And it was a nice interview, and I thought, well, it'd be nice to have met George and Richard, and I'll just go home now. And as I was going out of the door, George said, "Hey, great nose."
Which is important.
I know, which is very nice.
Yeah.
But later on I realized what he meant. But I thought, well, my actor's instinct told me that maybe something was happening. And when I got back home, the phone was ringing again, and it was my agent who said, "You've got the part." I said, "Well, that's great. What's the part?" And he went, "Oh no, actors' questions." Anyway, he looked up his notes and he said, "He's called the Emperor of the Universe." And that's how it all started.
Wow, that is awesome. And of course the notes, because then, you know...
Yeah, well, the notes was the only thing that wasn't a prosthetic, really. And obviously they could save on the budget. I think that it was as simple as that.
So it was nice to see. And then the voice, now originally in Empire, Clive Revill had done the voice. So you were asked to kind of match his tone and sound at first, or was it...
Yeah, I was a real novice to the whole Star Wars world, really. I'd seen the first movie, New Hope, as we now know it, but I hadn't seen Shameful, The Empire Strikes Back. But they gave me a tape, and I saw it, and I said, "Well, who was that?" And they said, that people didn't really have an exact explanation, but they said, "Oh, well, it's this actress in a sort of monkey mask with Clive Rebel's voice. And Richard Markman said, if you can get sort of close to Clive's voice, maybe George will let you keep yours. I had no idea it was going to be taken away from me. I thought, my God, it was sort of surgical operation halfway through the movie, I should know about it. Anyway, when I looked at my horrible face, I mean his horrible face, Palpatine, as we later knew to call him, I thought, well, I think he needs to sound different. He needs to sound a bit deeper, and let's face it, he looks like a black, slimy toad. So I started to think, well, what does a black, slimy toad sound like? And this sort of started, you know, in me. And I thought, well, what if it would be possible to speak on that kind of level? And I knew that some great Japanese actors, theatre actors, can do that. So I sort of worked at it, because I thought that voice might fit that face. And so when we did the scenes, I did it in that voice, and nobody said anything. So I thought, well, they'd probably like it. But I didn't know that the whole film, of course, was going to be revoiced because of the technology, because they couldn't capture what they now can.
So you did ADR after that?
Yeah, and then I didn't really know, I suppose, I was going to get that voice until I went along to the dubbing studio, the ADR studio, and there was George, of course, and Steven Spielberg, and a colleague of his, and I did a little bit. And Steven Spielberg said, "Oh my God, you're so evil!" So I thought, oh, I'm going to get to keep the voice.
That is great. Yeah. Well, and now, do you do any voice work at all?
No, not really.
Yeah, we would love to have you do some voice work here. Yeah. There's, and so, you know, now back then, I remember watching an interview with Mark Hamill talking about, you know, the 9 films that this could be, and the prequels, and telling the whole story. Were you told anything back when you did that there would be more?
You're joking. I mean, nobody knows anything. No, I didn't think George even had an intention beyond those first 3 movies, which he'd always seen really as one story. And there was sort of rumors and talk, not from him, of sequels as opposed to prequels. But then he realized that Vader was such a fascinating character to, let's face it, the whole universe, the whole world, that perhaps how he came into being would be a story worth telling. And so that's what happened. And because I got that part, and I should explain to you that somebody else had already been cast, all these, if you didn't know, all the years ago in when I did Return of the Jedi. And that they cast a very old and very distinguished English actor no longer with us. But he couldn't take the contact lenses tests. He couldn't wear those yellow eyes. So that's when they decided they had to get somebody else. But my great good fortune was I was in my late 30s then. So when the story went backwards, I was exactly the right age, as it turned out.
Yeah. Okay, so you go ahead whenever you want.
Stand by now.
Okay.
So I have to
Yeah, prepare. Do whatever you need.
Yeah. Do you want me to really hate you? I mean, are you serious, anime?
Well, I am Obi-Wan
just some
Kenobi.
guy who gets in the way.
Imagine Obi-Wan Kenobi as a short man that looks like David Spade. Pretty much me. So there you go. Yeah.
That's easy.
Celebration 6, welcome out to our evening with Kevin Smith. Are you guys pumped up or what? Woo! Sit down. Woo!
If anybody's been following my podcast for the last year or 2 years knows, I'm at midlife, I've become a very emotional man, so I will probably cry if you continue that. What a bunch of bitches you are. Make the fat boy cry. This is like fucking grade school all over again. This is awesome for me, man.
Leland's got the chip.